Andor was famously going to be a 5-season series that was cut down to 2. I still think the series came out nearly perfect, and I don't think Disney would have wound up greenlighting 5 full seasons of the show. Tony Gilroy has gone on record saying how hard he had to fight to get the second season made. But there will always be a part of me that wonders what could have been. What other plot lines could have been explored if we had 36 more episodes? And let me be clear, I'm not saying any of these ideas would have been better. Some of them are certainly story elements or characters I would have liked to see more of, but that doesn't mean it would have worked. Maybe 5 seasons of Andor would have been a huge mistake, and 2 seasons was the perfect scenario. We won't ever know for sure, but I was tossing around some of these ideas in my head, and I wanted to share them. So let's explore what we might have seen if Andor was a 5-season show, and start by breezing through season 1 real quick and just keep it exactly the same. I love it, and there's no reason to change anything. Let's get right into season 2. I'll be keeping all of the events that belong in that year that we saw in the show. The TIE Avenger theft, the wedding on Chandrilla, the Maya Pei Brigade disaster, and the events on Mina Rao. But I think pretty much all of that would have been moved to later in the season. The wedding could stay in the finale arc, but we could have built up to it over the course of 9 other episodes. Mon Mothma and Davos Golden could be butting heads the whole time, while Lita is all excited and Davos' son is a standoffish brat. I think it would have been tense and interesting to see Davo meet Luthen. The show could keep the audience in the dark about their business dealings, and then reveal it was all about the statue at the wedding, but it would also allow for Clea to bug Skolden's collection an entire season before it becomes a problem. We'd also have more time with Tay, maybe giving us hints about or even overt statements about his displeasure and his fair-weather rebel attitude. Cyril, Dedra, and the rest of the Empire would have been an interesting storyline. I think it was a smart decision to skip over Cyril and Dedra's honeymoon period, if they even had one. I was perfectly happy to just accept that, okay, they're a couple now, let's move on. But we could have spent 3 episodes on an awkward set of first dates or something. I have to admit, I'm morbidly curious. We also could have seen Cyril's persistence in the Bureau of Standards and his rapid rise at a desk job he took very seriously. As for the ISB, I think we would build up to the reveal of Krennic in that season, continue mentioning Gorman in the Senate and stuff, and then bring up the Calkite talk near the end. Dedra could be floundering after Ferrix for the whole season, and she could impress Krennic right at the end, earning her the job and finding some success once more. I'd also like to see what happened to Blevin and how Hirt replaced him. There probably would have been some fun internal politics there, considering Hirt was Dedra's aide. For Cassian's storyline, we could see him and Bix and Wilman growing their relationship with Luthen, going out on missions, but also living their lives on Mina Rao, which of course means more time with B2 Emo and Brasso. Maybe we would meet the Maya Pei Brigade earlier, like Cassian could deal with the brigade covertly so they never see his face and we see how stupid they all are. Then when he gets stuck on Yavin with them, we feel a little more tension as these morons argue. I definitely think the Yavin reveal is worth preserving. We could also build up to the TIE Avenger job more, learn why it was important, and maybe it even connects to the Death Star mystery a bit. They just know the Empire has secret weapons, and they're following a lead, and oh no, this is just a new type of TIE fighter. Oh well, let's steal it. As much as it pains me, I will respect the loss of Brasso this season, but would have been happy getting far more episodes with him. B2, he's a little tougher. First, because I just love him and it would hurt to leave him on Mina Rao for the rest of the series, 3 full seasons. But again, I will simply respect the choice made and leave him there and be very sad about it. I think the hypothetical 3rd season of this series is the toughest one for me to figure out because it might be the best example of why only having 2 seasons worked so well for Andor, because I do think it makes sense to show the Gorman front developing over the course of years, so we'd have to keep mentioning the planet, but I think we save sending Cyril undercover until near the end of the season just to keep the character around a little more. We could see him having to prove himself to Dedra, maybe we see her continuing to investigate Axis and Cassian, and since she's doing all that off the books, she would eventually need Cyril's help. We could see her manipulating him, and that leads to him becoming her mole in the Gorman front. Their digging could bump them up against the growing Yavin base for some added tension, and maybe we even see the first time Dedra learns about the Death Star. I think Cassian's storyline would have plenty to focus on, and we'd be able to give Bix a lot more to do. Maybe the assassination of Dr. Gorst becomes a full arc. We could see the 2 of them on a handful of missions together, including the one where they kill that soldier. Bix's drug use could become more significant. The major theme of the season could be all about Luthen's desire to keep his operatives apart from one another and less emotionally connected. Vel and Cinta would still go on an ill-fated mission ending in Cinta's death, but let's give them more time together. We could really see the emotional dangers of falling in love within a revolution and the potential pain that brings. We could contrast Luthen's philosophy with Yavin. Maybe we see how it's starting to develop as a community. Luthen could send Bix and Cassian there, and they start to feel drawn to that form of rebellion, and a wedge is driven between them and Luthen. Maybe we could foreshadow Bix's eventual decision to leave by suggesting that she and Cassian could start a family together on Yavin or something like that. As for Mothma, I would also like to see more of her relationship with Luthen. As we build toward her speech, I'd love to see her realizing the kind of leadership the rebellion needs. She can see all the disparate rebel cells and their lack of trust for one another. Maybe it starts to sink in that she is going to have to be the one to take the reins, which is a scary thought and one worth digging into. And of course, we have to keep the scene of Clea removing the bug in Skolden's art gallery. Moving into Season 4, this one is really simple. It's the Gorman season. I see it as being very close to what we actually got in Season 2. Maybe we still introduce the Gorman front characters in Season 3 and get them weapons and stuff, but I think the hypothetical 4th season could be similar to Season 1, where we have other missions and stuff going on, but we check in on Gorman constantly. Cassian would be with Yavin now, leaving Luthen at the end of Season 3. Willman could be angry about that, and we could make a rift between him and his Ferrix friends. Let's have him running around with the partisans, huffing Rhydonium and going a little more wild, but have him come back to himself by the end of the season, reuniting with Cassian like we see in the show. That could happen after a partisan mission gone wrong, which results in Saw losing his legs. Cassian can develop his relationship with General Draven, and we can see how missions for the Rebellion are different from his missions with Luthen, if they are different at all. It would be fun if he used the codename Fulcrum during this time, but the main focus would be about the rising problems in Gorman. We would follow Cyril and his manipulations of Caro Rylans and the others. The third arc of the real Season 2 would be the hypothetical Season 4 finale, basically exactly like we already saw it. I very much think those episodes would have worked great as a season finale, ending with the massacre, Mothma's speech and escape, Bix's departure, and the birth of K2SO. So in our final season, the two biggest storylines I think would benefit from more episodes are Mon Mothma and K2SO. I really wanted more time with Mon as the leader of the rebellion. Let's see her on her own, learning to become a symbol on a battlefield, managing the political council and also the military side of things. And let's give more focus to Perrin and Lita. Fans have been curious what their response was to Mon's speech, and we never got to see them, except to learn Perrin is having an affair with Skolden's wife, and that would have been interesting to explore even a little bit. Just a glimpse or two at Mothma's family would have gone a long way. Let's also see some additional missions with Cassian, K2, and Melshi. The game they play in the series works well enough to show they've become friends, but K2 is an Imperial droid. I feel like the first missions they went on together would have been tense, with Cassian and Melshi trying to figure out if they could really trust K2 or not. Just one arc of them on a mission together, and you could set it on the planet Wakeko just to appease the canon junkies, a little nod to the first origin story. They could even make some references to the other missions we know they went on from other comics, or the Secrets of the Empire VR experience. We could see several investigations into the Death Star culminating into one, which is basically what happens in the final arc of the series, but Saw and the Kyber crystals and Tivik could be brought into the story for an arc. Maybe the name Galen Erso leaks out somewhere. I'd love to see more of Dedra's accidental discoveries on her way to finding Luthen. Lonnie could get a little more focus. I think the whole season is obviously still about that Death Star endgame, and the final 3 episodes would basically remain exactly the same. So that brings us back to the end. Some of what I tossed out I definitely would have loved to see, but I think I convinced myself that cutting down the seasons was the right move. Obviously, I want more of the series, but just about everything I talk about expanding on is covered in Season 2, it just happens very fast. Those 12 episodes are so insanely efficient. They tell us enough to be able to connect some dots, and sure, I would have loved to see Cassian and K2's first missions together, and more of Mon's leadership, and more development for the Yavin base, but I don't think the series needs it. I think the way the Gorman stuff worked out with only 2 seasons is brilliant because we get to keep Cyril very involved with everything despite him being out there on his own. We really feel the development of the Gorman front in only 6 episodes. It's brilliantly executed. Maybe 3 seasons could have worked out well, but yeah, as much as the idea of having 5 seasons of this caliber of Star Wars sounds hypothetically amazing, I just don't think it was necessary. The story might have started to feel bloated, and I'm glad Andor left us wanting a little more without feeling like it needed more, if that makes sense. But that's it for today. Let me know what you would have liked to see in 5 seasons in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.